Did you face Ohtani?
I did. He struck me out, and he was that was
Tell
the day
us.
he tore his UCL.
Oh,
So he wasn't throwing hard at all, and he struck me out. He
wasn't.
threw me a splitter. Yeah,
He hit you with the split. I always tell Chich, the guys that come over from Japan, that split is so different than anything
Yeah.
we see over here, right? Would
it's
you,
nasty.
And I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top. Keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life.
boom, coming in hot, Chich. It's going to be a good one today, brother. What's going on?
Dude, we got a stud. I'm just going to say super stud in the house right now. And a man after my own heart, pretty much the same size as me. And I couldn't get past one baseball. This guy's hitting grand slam walk-offs.
Yeah, this guy's an absolute stud. I'm fired up for this one, man. I met this guy in Reds Fest a few months back. You know, been a big fan from afar, watching him do his thing. One of the best second basemen in the game. I know was just a rookie last year, but, you know, this guy was fifth in Rookie of the Year, hit 290, came out, put up 16 bombs, drove in 50 runs, but had a 23 on game base streak, and just an absolute stud. So let's bring him in, the second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds, Matty McLain. What's up, Matt? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Dude, thanks for joining us. Where are you, bro?
Scottsdale.
Let's go, dude. It doesn't suck to be you, man.
Yeah, it's nice out here right now.
Yeah, dude. What do? Do you have a house out there?
So I've been renting with my brothers. I got two brothers who play, but I just bought a house this last weekend, actually.
Okay, dude.
Same area.
I was reading about that. Your brothers. How old are your brothers?
Sean is 22, and Nick is 21.
That's pretty cool for you, huh? You're basically the Irish twins. You guys are
Yeah.
just all 17 months apart or whatever. Like, what was that like for you growing up with brothers that, you know, that close in age?
Yeah, I mean, we were best friends. I mean, we lived in like a house growing up, and like there was rooms for us to all have our own room. Our parents like forced us to live in the same room. We lived in bunk beds, so it was like, you know, like you're about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden you get hit with a pillow, and it's like it's on, and then you can hear my dad get out of bed, and then everyone like hops back into bed, like stuff like that. It's just funny.
You guys, I remember my sons, you know, I don't know, back in the day they'd have those like little video games going on. I don't know I can't remember what they're called, but like, you know, Game Boys or whatever it was like that.
The Wii. Yeah,
the Wii, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and I would go in to put them to bed, and then I'd come back. I hear some stuff going on, and I'd come in and go, and everyone would be quiet, but I could tell something was going on, and I'm like, Jake, what's under your blankets, dude? Like, pull your blankets back. Let me see what's going on. Like, did you have a couple of those episodes with the McLain brothers and the parents?
Yeah, we didn't have any video games, but it was always like wrestling, or like just one of us was always messing around. It was like you can never go to bed when you wanted, but like it was fun. Like it was so fun.
That's so great, dude. That is great, man. Nothing like having brothers, to say the least.
Yeah.
Brother, what about for you, man? I mean, what a incredible coming out party for you. What was that like this season for you with the Reds, you know, personally coming out and really putting up some big numbers, putting up some big hits too, some late hits. What you had a walk-off hit, but you had some big hits late too. Can you tell us what it was like for you this first season up in Cincy?
Yeah. It was a great experience for me and, you know, the rest of the team, and the way that we built throughout the season and got better as the season went on was really good to see, and really like promising to see what we can even build further on, you know, get back to the playoffs. But for me personally, it was just like, it was all kind of a whirlwind, and like it all just happened so fast. And it was like, you know, at the end of the day, it's baseball. Like, you know, you get called up like early morning flight that day into Colorado. And I think we flew out like 5 or 6, me and Brandon Williamson, and then like played that night. And it was just like, yeah, it's just baseball. You just got to play. But it was like so fun. Everything I dreamed of.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make, you think, when you got to the big leagues?
Just the level of play. Like, you know, the difference in players like is clearly different. They're in the big leagues for a reason. and it's just like it's so competitive. It's like it's on from every single pitch. There's no one in the bullpen coming out where you're like, oh, this is a break, this is a free hit, or there's nothing like that. It's like you got to strap it on, be ready to go every single pitch, every day, and it's like that. That's the fun part of it, though. You know that.
Yeah, did you like that though? Did you like? I mean, I always think, being up there in the second half, I was, hitting coach with the Yankees, so I got to see it firsthand again.
Yeah.
And it feels like the guys, nowadays, there's a lot of tunneling to the front part of the plate, almost attacking the zone. Did you feel that way? That hey, guys are coming at you. They're throwing it to attack the strike zone, and then that one-on-one competition.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially like new guys, like younger guys who haven't like proven themselves. Like they're gonna make you prove that you're good. Like they're coming at you. Especially when you got guys like Ellie, India, Joey hitting behind me. It's like they're gonna make me beat them. Like, so it's fun. Like you want to stack yourself up against the best players, and that like the big leagues is where that's done. So it's a great opportunity. It's fun.
Yeah, no better place to be, brother. No better place to be than up there. You talked about, you came up, and obviously Ellie De La Cruz was down there with you in Louisville for a little bit, and then obviously you have the young guys in Encarnacion Strand who was down there. Steer came up. The young pitchers, obviously Abbott's a stud. Man, when you look at the Reds, you're like, wow. And especially, being at Reds Fest, bro, and seeing the fans are just, they're going nuts in Cincinnati right now for you guys.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of those guys, dude. Tell us about De La Cruz. Tell us about Strand and Abbott and these guys. And, like, what are we expecting from them, going forward?
Well, I mean, coming up, like playing with him, working him in spring training. I had played with Christian in summer ball a little bit, so I knew him. But then you get Abbott in the mix, you get Elliott in the mix. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Williamson, Steer, and it's like you see these guys work and see them play every day, and it's like, dude, these guys are legit, and it's like we're all the same age, and it's like we're all similar people. Like we're all very like team oriented first, and it's like selfless. We like to work hard, and it's just like we have fun winning. I think that was the most important part. Is like after a win, it's like it's fun. Everyone's happy. Put your performance aside. Like, did we win? That's usually the first question when you come in the clubhouse. Is like, obviously when you won, but it's like, team first, win first, put the personal stuff aside, and it's like seeing us all go about it. It's fun to think about, but like we do have to put in the work. Like it's not just gonna come. It's not just gonna show up. We have to put in the work and earn it.
Yeah, I love that, dude. I love it too. Like, especially hearing that team first, mantra, because at times it can, the big leagues can be tough, or you're trying to get your numbers and stuff like that. But when whenever you're going for the team first, I always feel like your numbers will end up being there. Where do you get that mentality from? Is it from growing up? Was it a coach in the minor leagues, or where do you get that mentality of that team first?
I don't know, but I've always thought that if you put the team first and like what you're doing, how am I going to help the team win today? That's going to put your numbers where they need to be. Like if just like you said, if the team's first, like your numbers are going to fall in place. If you're truly doing everything you can to help the team win, you're going to make yourself a better player, one, and two, it's going to take pressure off you, and the numbers are going to show up.
I love that, man. I love that. What about for you, man? Like, you're drafted twice in the first round. That's pretty cool. Being out of high school and college in the first round. What was your decision not signing at a high school at the first round? I mean, that must have been a tempting proposition to pass up.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, when you have a school like UCLA, I mean, that was my dream school. It was where I wanted to go from day one. My dad went to UCLA, so I had grown up going to the football games, being a fan, baseball games, and just the reputation that they had, Coach Savage and Coach Ward and everyone up there was like, I have a great fall black, like it's weird to call it like a fall back plan on, but at the point that I got drafted, it was like, what's the worst case? I'm going to go to UCLA and play baseball. Like that's a great situation for me or anyone to be in. Right. So it was where I wanted to be. Like, obviously I had a number, they didn't meet it, and I'm going to UCLA, and I was happy with it, and never looked back.
Yeah. Well, it worked out, bro. It worked out.
Thank you. Yeah.
which is great for you as a player. When I look back at your minor league numbers, when you in Chattanooga, you hit 230 with some bombs, then you get to Louisville, and it feels like something clicked. You throw a 340 out there, 16, 12 bombs there, obviously 16 in the big leagues. Can you what was there something mechanically? Was there something in your process, in the mental side of it? What was it for that it clicked for you in pro ball where you're like, okay, now I'm starting to understand this?
Yeah, I think just getting my foot in the door and just kind of playing that first year in Chattanooga, I didn't necessarily have a great plan. I was kind of playing it like college, and then you got to think a little bit different as well. Like you got to sometimes you got to shrink the zone. The pitches are better, stuff like that. Learning to sit on pitches, like when the time is, either you can, when not to, and just ultimately shrinking the zone. Mechanically, there were some minor things, but nothing major. I opened up a little bit. That helped.
Right.
But nothing really major other than being more disciplined in the zone. And I think I did a lot of like overtraining stuff, which I enjoy, like, super firm velo or super nasty breaking balls, stuff like that. And just holding myself to that, holding myself accountable in practice to like training way up here so the game slows down a little bit. I think that has helped me this past year, and I'm going to take it into this year.
I love that, dude. Do you find that I know that was one of the adjustments for me when I got to the big leagues was I felt like stuff was moving later. You know what I mean? The two seamers a little later, the cutters a little later on you. The changeups got a little more fade late. Did you find that to be the same thing? Because you talk about vision, like, oh man, training the velo, then training the nasty hook. Did that allow you when you got to the big leagues to be like, oh man, I'm training for this kind of pitching?
I think so. Honestly, like in game, there's nothing you can prepare for it. Like some of those guys, just like, whoa, like strap it in, just compete. Like, and it's like, but that's the fun thing about it is like you can work towards that to where it's like, I want that to feel like, I'm ready. Like when you feel like you're ready for that and you're prepared for anything they throw, that's a good feeling. I mean, what it feels like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Do you feel like mentally, you talked about maybe sitting on pitches in certain situations, obviously if a guy, one thing I noticed too, preparing, as the hitting coach, man, a lot of guys are throwing, this guy's a 47% slider guy. This guy's, it's not like, hey, this guy's throwing 75% heaters and then, and then he's, I think there's more sliders, more cutters. Was your approach at the plate off the fastball, or are you pretty much guy by guy, guessing a little bit?
No, I'm off the fastball. But one thing I did, I had never sat on a pitch until like AA, like halfway through AA. I was always off the fastball. I was like, dude, like you said, there's some guys that are reverse. They're throwing 70% sliders, 30% fastballs.
Right.
Why would I not sit on a slider?
Right.
And so that's one thing that I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm not great at it, but I'm getting better at it. Dude, sit on it for an at-bat or a pitch or two and then go back. But, 90% of the time I'm off the fastball.
Yeah, yeah. Well, game's hard enough sometimes. Like I always feel like sometimes when I guess right, I'm like, oh, it was the nasty one.
Yeah.
I guess right, but it was still the nasty slider. But you're right, dude. If it's 70%, one of those pitches is going to be a mistake. One of those, they're not going to throw you three nasty sliders. One of those they're going to hang.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hit off the fastball?
I was a big off the fastball guy. Like I just remember, I even having a talk. I don't know, you're probably too young, but a guy named George Brett, one of the best players ever. 3 batting titles. I remember talking to him when I was probably your age. I was 24. I was at spring training with the Reds, and I was like, "Hey, George." He was, coaching with the Royals at the time, and I was like, what was your process at the plate? What were you thinking? He's like, "Hey." He goes, I'm hunting the fastball, and I'm trying to be short to it and long through it, And dude, I'll tell you what, speaking of swings, like I love your swing, dude. I love how short you are. I feel like the best hitters can work top down. Like when I look at you, I'm like that top of the rail heater, you can handle that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got such a short A to B swing. Have you always had that short of a swing? And what is your approach mechanically? What do you work on, and what are your keys as a hitter?
Yeah. Well, it helps when you got short arms. That's a
Yeah.
that's a benefit for sure.
Heck yeah.
It definitely is. But yes, I do like to work top to bottom because if you can get that fastball at the top, you can adjust to like lower pitches. But if you're working up to the ball, it's really hard to like.
Right.
You got to stay on top of it. But no, I just work on ball flight a lot of the time. Like mechanics wise, I just try and feel athletic. I like to be a little bit open, and then land more neutral. But I just try and like low line drives to the opposite side, and if I'm gonna pull it, like backspin it. It doesn't necessarily need to be a homer, but like just backspin balls as much as you can. But really, like most guys, honestly, are like my first 2 rounds are like oppo low, and just honestly, it's all for me. I just try and backspin everything.
Yeah, dude. I want to stay there for a second because I do think that obviously the analytics are great. There's so many things in the game that could help a hitter or help a coach to put a game plan together. But I must admit, one of the things that drives me crazy is that when maybe a guy that's never been in the box before or played the game at this level and seen what these guys are doing and how balls are moving, and we'll say, hey, the best exit velo is on the pull side in the air. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to kill a big leaguer's career as quick as you possibly can, start training pull side in the air. Like that
Yeah.
for me is like, because guess what? As soon as a pitcher sees that, it's like blood in the water, dude. Like at the end of the day, they'll slider you to death and you will not have a career appearance. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like you say, your first 2 rounds, I used to like to do that too. First 2-3 rounds, man, I'm going the other way. I felt like it set up my pull side power. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, just staying inside the ball, I mean, is obviously very important. But it gives you that margin in your swing if you're working that oppo. If you're pulling balls, you're obviously catching it on the furthest out front point of your swing.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. Like you have to have both in the bag, I think, if you want to be a really good hitter. Especially in BP, like you should be able to do what you want with the ball for the most part. But really just working, that first part of the day, I want to be oppo, or I want to train that deeper part of my swing where I really want to make contact for line drives. And if I catch a little out in front, backspinning, it's gonna go.
It's gonna go.
But in training, I'm really working from shortstop to second base or 4-hole, just backspin. And if I pull it, I pull it. But I'm not really ever trying.
Yeah, I always feel like when people are like, oh, the launch angle and the barrel percent, I'm like, launch angle usually happens on the hanging slider, the hanging changeup, the hanging hook, or the fastball that you just react to in. It's like, that launch angle is catching the ball a little out front. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it just happens. You try and train that margin, and by doing that, you have to be working the other way in the deep part. You got to be connected like on the back half in order to carry it all the way through.
Yeah. Dude, who were guys that you liked growing up? Because one of the guys I was telling Chinch, one of the guys, when I look at your swing and I look even as you play the game and your size and everything, you remind me a lot of Bregman. I mean, just like short swing and, great athlete. And, so who were some of the guys that you really loved growing up?
Mike Trout being from Orange County, but
pretty good. He's pretty good.
Good one.
Yeah, he's good. We did not look alike or anything, but no, I just like the way that he plays the game. Like he goes at it. He's running 90s, like stuff like that. Especially when I was growing up. He's a little older now, but he plays the game hard, and obviously he's a Hall of Famer, and he's just was the guy that I always watched growing up.
When you came up for the first time and got on the field, like, were there any guys that you were like, oh my God, that dude's like one of my favorite players, man, and I am on the field. I am on the same baseball field as him? Or did you just put your head down and try not to think?
Like, I guess when I faced Ohtani, him, and Trout, honestly, but like, you try and put that on the back burners, but like before the game, you're like, dang, like I'm gonna play against him today. And then after it's like, dang, I played against him today. But you try and throw that out during the game as much as possible, but like it's hard not to sometimes. Like Acuna, like MVP, that was sick. Just got like anybody like that. It's like, wow, this is cool. Like I get the chance to prove myself against these guys, especially pitchers.
Did you face Otani?
I did. He struck me out, and he was that was
Tell
the day he
us.
tore his UCL.
Oh,
So he wasn't throwing hard at all, and he
he
struck me
wasn't.
out. He threw me a splitter.
Did
Yeah,
he hit you with the split? I always tell Chich, the guys that come over from Japan, that split is so different than anything
Yeah.
we see over here, right?
it's
Was that
nasty.
nasty, right? Yeah.
And he like hadn't thrown it in like 2 or 3 starts because I remember I was just like, forget about the splitter, make him a fastball slider guy, and he rips it. I'm just like, it was a terrible swing. It was a 55-footer. I swung at it.
Yeah, but it looks like it's right there, though, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
at about 55 feet. Oh my God, it's so great. So you were more of an Angels fan growing up than a Dodger fan.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great, dude. That's great.
yeah.
Some of the guys on the team. You talk about the veteran guys, especially a guy like Votto. You know what did you were you able to like pick his brain a little bit? I know he was on some rehab assignments too with you down in Louisville. You know, what was it
Yeah.
like playing with Joey?
Yeah, I mean, he was a great help. It started in spring training. He just kind of like, I don't know, we were talking about something. He figured out I was from California. We just started talking, and then he was in Louisville a lot, and he was great. We'd talk about hitting everything, like just anything hitting. He was an open book, and I think was really valuable for me. And it's just cool to see him do that because he had no reason to. I mean, he was on a rehab assignment. Working on himself, and he was still helping other guys. It wasn't like he was just helping me, but he was helping out everyone there. Giving pitchers feedback when they asked for it. But just good dude, great teammate.
Anything that he told you, stand out?
More the way that he went about it, his like routine and his batting practice, just the discipline, the level that he holds himself to. And he knows why he's successful. And the way that he still goes about it is crazy.
Yeah, pretty good player. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty good player of the year. Jonathan India, kind of maybe a weird situation for him. Comes out, his rookie year and has a great year and dominates. And now I feel like maybe not the odd man out, but like trying to find him places to go. Did he help you at all over there at second base? I know you came up playing short, and obviously you're good enough an athlete to say, hey, when De La Cruz comes up, we're going to make you the second baseman. Any conversations with India that might have helped you out?
I mean, he just talks to me about like playing the game hard. I mean, he's another guy that plays the game so hard, and it's like fun to watch, and like it's just a respect thing. It's like, dude, like you go at it, and it's like it's fun to watch. Like he's playing through injuries, stuff like that. So it just good dude, great teammate.
Yeah. What was it like for you in Cincy this year, man? I honestly, I've been fortunate enough to play almost my whole career in Cincinnati, and on the years that we won or the years that that we really had some younger players. I remember that our 1999 team, was you were just being born, but thinking back to that team, like we were a bunch of young kids, and that city just came alive. Like I feel like that's where Cincinnati is right now. Can you just talk about those fans and what it was like playing down the stretch in Cincinnati and just the vibe that was there?
I mean, the atmosphere, like you could tell, like they're fully bought in and they want us to win. They're behind us completely, and it's like easy to tell and easy to feel, especially when you're on the field. And you go to some of these other places that don't necessarily have that. You realize not to take for granted what you have in the fans in Cincinnati, because it's like they're diehard and they want the Reds to win. It's a baseball town. Obviously, the Bengals are really good right now too, but it's a baseball town, and like they love the Reds. Everything about it. Playing down the stretch, I was hurt, but I could like even then, it's like you still see so much more. It's like these big at bats, they're on their feet. It's like even in like the third, fourth inning, early in the game, they realize like that point in the game could flip the game later on. It's like they're smart baseball fans. And they just love what we do. And they want us to win, which is a good feeling.
Was that eating at you down the stretch when you were coming back from that strained oblique and you're like, I can't believe I'm not out there?
Yeah, it was big time. Like it was not fun.
Yeah. Looks like you guys were having fun. I'm sure there's going to be many more of those moments, man, with those guys. When I wanted to touch on one thing going back to the minors, because I had a conversation recently with Matt Holliday, and he was talking about, Jackson and the robo-umps. And he was like, oh, man, they could be coming soon to Major League Baseball and all that. You had a chance to experience, I believe it, in AAA. What was that like? And do you felt like it made you better as a hitter, or, did you like him? Did you not like him?
I think baseball, it's like the umpires are part of the game. So I think taking them out of it would be wrong in some ways,
Right.
but there are things that could be fixed. Like, I think the best thing is, you have the umpire and then you have 3 challenges, like leave it at that. Like, but the strike zone was, because there's always someone that's going to be complaining. So it's that no one's ever going to be happy. There's one group of people, hitters or pitchers, that are going to complain about it every single year. And it's just like what it is. So I don't know how I feel about it. I think it definitely benefited hitters a little bit, because you can know your zone and learn it. And there was some, people were like, oh, there's no top of the zone. The guys switch. They feel like pitchers are like, oh, yeah, I don't feel like it switched from this guy to this guy. And it's like,
Yeah, come on.
it's the same zone. And it's like, it's just going to create a bunch of complaining. So, I mean, no one's ever going to be happy if it happens, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, I like the human error, man. There's human error for players. We make errors. You strike out. The human error as an umpire. I mean, we have the instant replay slow-mo is so slow. You're like, oh, he missed that call, but it's happening so fast. You guys are all so fast, and these guys, are getting the majority of the calls right. So I kind of like just having the umpires personally.
I agree. I could see the challenge system working if you have 3 challenges, but the full robo ump, I mean, I don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about David Bell, man? Obviously comes from a baseball family. His dad, Buddy, his grandfather, Gus. I mean, they're truly baseball people. Like, what has been your first impression of Belly, and what has he helped you with?
Yeah, he's great. I think he's pulled the most. He does a really good job of pulling the most out of everyone, and allowing them to play the game their own way to their highest potential. And I think that's really valuable. And obviously he knows how to pull us together and, get us pulling on the same side of the rope every day. He knows when to say something. He knows kind of when to stay out of the way and let us play. I think that's very valuable. And I think it's a hard thing to recognize. That's probably really hard for him is, these guys are rolling. Do I step off? When do I say something? But I feel like, he knows when to say things. And I think that's really important. But more importantly, he knows how to get us all together and get us on the same page and pull the most out of ourselves individually each and every day.
I love that, man. I love David Bell. I always say you can't really tell if you're a good manager until you get good players. Now that the good players are up there, I'm excited to see how that whole thing works out. With him. What about for you, brother, as far as your power goes? It seems like the more you play, the more your power starts to go up a tick. And it seems like in 2023, your power number started to come. Is that more of a mental thing as far as are you looking at, when you get an advantage count 3-1, 2-0, are you maybe going a little hard? I mean, what is it about your power that it's starting to take that jump?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. My numbers in 2-0 and 3-1 counts were terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
So bad. And I'm working on that. But yeah, pitchers want to get me in more counts. I guess you got an advantage there. So there's your tip.
They're like, get McLain 2-0, 3-1, and you got him.
Yeah, there's your tip. But no, they were bad. But no, I think I've just gotten stronger. Focusing on learning the way that my body moves, learning what pitches I can handle better than others in certain counts. I'm still learning on all that stuff, but I think ultimately it's I feel like I'm moving better and I'm stronger ultimately. Yeah,
that's great. I got great advice when I first got up to the big leagues by a guy named Dave Justice, really good hitter, veteran player. I was 23 years old, and he's like, hey, He's like, Case, what are you thinking 3-1, 2-0? I was like, I'm getting ready to ambush somebody, you know? And he's like, all right. He goes, careful on the 2-0, 3-1 pitches because the bottom line is 2-0, 3-1 is the same as any other count. Your odds of getting a strike have just gone up. So you got to stay relaxed. You got to stay slow. He goes, just your odds of getting something in the strike zone are better. I just know that helped me out a ton because I'm like, all right, man, let's not get too geared up and try to do something different than we would if it was 0-0.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I didn't realize it until like almost like right before I got hurt. And I was like, whoa. I just asked one of the hitting coaches, I'm like, whoa. Can we check what my numbers are in these counts? Like, I feel like they're terrible. And, yeah, they're terrible. So I got something to work on for sure in that. But, yeah.
That's so great, dude. I love that. Well, yeah, that's where the analytics help you. We're like, okay, we're going to do something different here. You know what I mean? We're going to do something different here.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, okay, whatever you're doing, do something different or try something different. Throw some things at the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Something's going to stick, bro. Something's going to stick.
Yeah.
What about this offseason? I know going into the offseason, you know, for me at least looking back, there was always one or two things like, man, I really want to work on this. I really want to get after that. What are you getting after? Or is there one or two things that you're working on to kind of elevate your game to another level?
With the injury, like, because I retore it going to Louisville, so I had to restart the whole process.
Oh, God.
So I'm literally just like, I started hitting a month ago, and things have gone great. I feel great, but up until that point, it was like, you know, you with the oblique, you got to build up so much with the swings, and then it's like, yesterday I hit 120, 150 swings, half of them being off the machine, so I'm fine now. But like, it was pretty touchy to begin with. But just the rehab process, getting my body right and getting that oblique feeling good has been a long process, but it's been a good learning process. Like, but at the end of it, I think just hammering mistakes. I think that's one thing that I want to do more of. I'm not talking about like damage, but just hitting the ball hard in the middle of the plate. And then, you know, when you got a pitcher who's dotting stuff, learning to have a second swing in your back pocket that you can handle that, you know, nasty slider or like a 2-strike approach more I'm talking about. I got to get better at that for sure. But just hitting my pitches early, swinging at my pitches earlier in the count, in the middle of the plate, and then late in the count, learning how to shift that gear into, you know, you're not in your advantage count now. It's like hit the ball the other way.
Right.
You might don't be looking for something in the middle of the plate, and that's varies on pitcher to pitcher, but.
Yeah, it's so true though, dude. Like if you can put the ball in play more often than not, like, you know, you're going to get hits. Like you'll probably hit some rockets when you're just trying to touch the ball, you know, like trying to hit that nasty right-hand slider, 2 strikes, just touch it the right field. You could have hit a bullet to left center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because letting the ball travel. So such a good mentality. What about defensively, man? Like you come up, obviously draft as a shortstop, you play all the way up. You come up as a shortstop initially with the Reds, and then De La Cruz comes along. How's it been for you at second base, and what's been the biggest adjustment defensively in the big leagues?
It's been good. Definitely the speed of the balls hit and the like consistency of them. And it's just like, it's better in some ways because, you know, you got the pitch calm. You don't have to look in. It's a little bit easier. And the positioning is obviously better in the big leagues and the minor leagues. You have more of a feel through the analytics department and the coaches of, you know, they're putting you in the right position. And then it's like they're giving us the freedom to, you know, he's throwing a slider. This pitcher hits his spot. Move a little bit as the pitch is coming. But the transition has been good. Playing short and second, I do most of my work at short because I feel like if I can do the work at short, it's going to transfer over to second. Obviously, there's certain plays you can't mimic that you have to practice, like double play and stuff like that. But it's been good. I feel like middle of the field, it's just go be an athlete and make a play.
Dude, what about the throw? Like the one play I know was toughest for me at first, but also for the second baseman is that one play that's soft chopper. You're running in, you grab it, and you're like 10 feet from the first baseman.
Yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah, it's an awkward play, right?
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to like, because then you can't rip it because then the first base can't see the ball.
Right.
So it's like you have to like baby it, like dart.
Right.
And it's like, because I know like when you get a feed from the shortstop or second base and it's like they're close to you and they're ripping it, it's like you freak out and you can't see the ball.
It's so true.
It's like, and then it's your air too. So it's like you got to show them the ball.
Yeah.
So, but it's awkward.
Yeah. And that
Especially when you got a guy running down the line, like a lefty down the line fast.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought that was one of the toughest plays for second baseman. I'd be crazy if I didn't ask you, just to close it out, a couple questions on Cincinnati food. You know, we all don't know about Skyline Chili until you get there, and like, you know, in Cincinnati it was like greatest thing ever, Skyline Chili. Then you get there, like, and you're like, they just dumped this like looks like a Taco Bell meat on top of this, and 8 pounds of cheese with some spaghetti. But then, I know for me, as I was there, as the years went on, I was like, I like became like addicted to it. I was like, give me the 5-way, give me the 5-way with a side of chili. Have you got into Skyline Chili at all?
I had the chili dog. Well, there's a name for it, right?
Yeah, the Coney dog.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Coney's.
They're good.
Yeah.
But the 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, it's just like looks way too much for me. I'll try it. I'll try it this next year, but like, I'll try it just because you got to try it. But I don't think I want to, but I will.
Yeah, you'll get used to it, bro. You'll get used to it. How about my man Ricky Stowe? How's he doing? And Josh Stewart and all those boys, how they doing?
They're doing great. I mean, they're fun. They're great. They're great at what they do. They're there for a reason. They've been there for so long for a reason.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah,
everything you could ask for.
Dude, you got some of the best clubbies in the business, dude. Those guys were there when I was there, bro. That's how old they are. That's how old I am. But those guys, when I was younger, you know, Mark and Rick and Josh and all those guys, man, were still there. Mort, is Mort still making the omelets in the morning and stuff?
No.
You guys got a chef?
So.
You guys have a chef?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're big. You guys are going bigger time now.
I'll ask him about that though.
Yeah, dude. It used to be, hey Mort, man, give me the freaking, give me some ham in there. I want some peppers, onions. You know, make sure I got a big game today. You know, Mort be back there sweating his balls off back there. You know.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, dude, Matty, thank you so much, bro, for your time, man. I know you're out there in the off season getting ready for the season, but looking forward to catching up with you again, man. And best of luck to you in 2024, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You got it, man. Thank you.
All right.
Dude, that was so cool, man. And I say this as like a compliment, but he just seems like a baseball rat. Like lives it, loves it, breathes it, eats it, and like very cool, man.
He's going to be around a long time, dude. You know, there's certain guys that come up, you're like, oh, you know, flash in the pan. Like Matt McLain's going to be around a long time. I think he's going to be an all-star in that league for a long time. And just his mentality, you know, I love that team first, because I always say, like, if you're going for the team first, that service mentality, your numbers are always going to be there. You know what I mean? So, like, they got so many good players, dude. It's such a great time to be a Cincinnati Red. And, you know, like I said, playing in that city when the teams are good, there's not a better city in baseball. So, what a cool kid, too, man.
By the way, too, like, you always talk about the Cincinnati franchise, how great of a franchise and organization, the people there. You could tell when he came on that he's looking at, I know you don't accept this in your head, but he's looking at Reds royalty. And he was like, before he was like, holy cow, this is cool. I'm talking to Sean Casey.
Oh, man, I don't know about that.
It was great hearing you talk about hitting too. Dude, it's true, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. I love bantering back and forth about approach, about, you know, I love how he's talking about his batting practice goes first two rounds the opposite way. Like I said, dude, if you're training pull side power in the air, you're not going to be in the big leagues for a long time. It's just the bottom line. So I love that conversation.
I also love how much, you know, you don't get better if you don't understand your own weaknesses.
Right.
Like, he talks more about the things he doesn't do well than the fact that he came up and just ripped for the Reds for half a season. I got to get better at this. I got to get better at that. And it's just very cool, man. Very
So
awesome.
good. Yeah, so good. So cool. I can't wait to have him on again when maybe he's MVP of the league.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Cincy. Love you, brother. Another great one today. Everyone out there, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode with second baseman of the Cincinnati Reds, Matt McLain. That was a good one, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. See you, brother.